Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Deziel and today I'm finishing with you the men's pants block. Now to do the back pattern, we're going to have to go back to the favorite pen and take a few more measurements. First, what you should do is to center your front leg onto your back leg, especially from the knee down. If you have to stretch it to keep it straight, do stretch it and make sure you have pretty much the same amount on both sides at the knee and at the bottom. Then you could take your meter and place it over one more time, aligning it with your two pins that you placed to find the gray line. Now we're going to take the measurement to find out what's the width of the pant at the bottom. What you're going to do is to measure from the front side seam to the fold line. It might be hard to do it at the hem because of the thickness, so you could do it a little higher. It should be pretty much the same thing. And the measurement that you find, here I have 8 millimeter. You have to double it to find the width at the back. To show you why we have to double this little measurement, I did put a little piece of paper here, and look what happened when you unfold your back. The measurement between the back and the front is much wider, and that's why we have to double this measurement. Now that you got your measurement on one side, just verify, make sure you have the same thing on the other side. So for my example, I find point A. That means my back is going to be wider by 1.6 on each side. And now you could write it down on your paper. When you're done at the bottom, just make the same thing at the knee level. Here I have 1.2. I check on the other side, again 1.2. So at the knee level, my back is going to be wider on each side, 2.4. Again, I write it down on both sides. Now it's time to check the measurement we need at the crotch level. Make sure it's stretched out and flat, completely flat, and just measure the distance between the front and the back crotch point. Here I found 3 centimeters, so same thing again, I'm going to double my measurement. So 6 centimeters. Now on the other side, I found a measurement of 1.2, so 2.4. We are now ready to get the 3 last measurements on the upper part. First, we're going to get the height and the distance for the back crotch waist point. You're going to place your ruler 90 degrees on the meter, touching the back waist point, and you're going to get 2 measurements from the crotch to the meter, and also on your meter the height of this point. Here I got the height of 107 and the distance all the way to the meter was 8 centimeters and a half. Now the last measure that you need is your back waist, and you could measure it flat from center back crotch point to the side seam. For this example, I find a 22 centimeter for my back waist. Now that we took all the measurement that we needed on the pant for the back, we're going to place them on the plan, starting at the bottom with 1.6 centimeter on each side of the leg, then 2.4 centimeter on each side at the knee level. Then you could connect the knee to the bottom. We're now going to place the measurement that we found for the crotch level, so 6 centimeters on one side and 2.4 on the other side. We could now trace from the knee level to the crotch level on the side seam. Now to trace the inseam of the back, I'm going to first measure the one from the front pattern. I find 34 centimeter point 3, and now I'm going to do pretty much what I did in the front. So I'm going to place my ruler at the knee level and pivot it until about 3 centimeters from the final crotch of the back. And I'm going to trace half of the distance. Now to be able to trace my back inseam line with the measurement of the front inseam line, I'm going to need to trace a little square line towards the bottom from the back width of the crotch that I found. Now, just like I did for the front line, I'm going to also pivot my ruler, but this time I'm going to keep my measurement. So I'm putting my 0 right at the knee, hold it here, I will pivot and make sure that my measurement of 34.3 reach the square line that I just traced. Now you could see that, as usual, the back crotch is a little lower than the front crotch because it's more angled, and it's normal like that. We're now ready to place the 3 last measurements on the top part on the back plan. I'm going to start with the vertical measurement for the back crotch point, and my vertical measurement is 107. So from 0 at the bottom, just mark your 107 on the paper. Now we're going to place the horizontal measurement to find the back waist and crotch point. And for this example, it was 8.5. So 90 degree with my grain line at the 107 point. And I'm going to put my measurement of 8.5. Now the last measurement is the back waist. You're going to place your 0 point right at the last point that you did and pivot your ruler until your 22 centimeter meet the highest line that you find for the waist and side seam. And at this point, just indicate your 22 centimeter. Now we're going to trace the back crotch, the waist, and the side seam, starting with the crotch. So you're going to connect the new waist and center back point with the level of the crotch on the front, the bottom of the zipper, and just trace. Then we're going to trace a curved line from that point all the way to the crotch point we found for the back. Now we're going to continue with the waist, tracing 90 degrees from the back crotch line just for a little while. Then you'll be able to continue with your French curve. It's a very little curve from the 90 degree all the way to the side seam. Now we're going to continue with the side seam, the little part that we're missing. And to trace it, you could just compare with your front curve and move it because they're going to be very similar. Then you could trace it. Now your back is finished, but before retracing onto another paper, I want you to add notches. We had a notch on the front for the end of the zipper. You could use the same reference for your back crotch and place a second one, since it's the back, a centimeter higher. Then you could retrace, keeping the same reference. That means the hip notch, the knee level, and of course the hem notch. Now your back pattern is also finished. Make sure you write down the information that it's a cut 2 and it's your men's block and the waist measurement. Now before you cut your muslin, I would like you to do 2 little verification to make sure that your sample will be as perfect as it could be. You're going to turn your back pattern upside down, so we have the 2 side seam, one next to the other, and you're going to overlap your seam line at the waist and side seam just for a little while, 6 to 8 centimeter overlapping, and just make sure that your waistline is nice and continuous. So if you did create a point up or down, just make the correction as little as you can to make it nice and continuous. The next verification is going to be for the crotch level, and we do the verification and correction if you need to for the same purpose. It has to be a nice and continuous line, so overlap your seam line at the inseam back and front, and just make sure that the seam line is nice and continuous. If not, try to do the modification to make it nice, as small as you can, because we don't want to affect the crotch too much, but it's important not to have a point or a V down. Then you'll be ready to cut your muslin and do your try-on. That's it for today. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I see you next time.